Aloha, guys, and welcome to another episode of Lucy's Paradise podcast. Back in Hawaii, as soon as soon as you get off the plane, just when that warm air hits your face, there's nothing like it. Of course, my friend picked me up. Our first stop was Taco Bell, obviously. I had a really bad headache the whole entire time I was traveling. The person next to me woke me up about 5 or 6 times. I've never been touched by a stranger so many times that I really started to think, like, are we gonna go on a date after this? What's going on? I don't really know. I will tell you this, you guys. You don't have to watch the Oceangate documentary if you do not want to, because I'm basically going to tell you all about it. So, yeah, that's what this video is about today. This video is about the documentary on Oceangate. Oceangate, what's that again? I forgot. Oceangate, if you guys don't remember, is the submersible that tried to go to the Titanic with a bunch of innocent people, and Stockton Rush, who was a narcissistic business owner who legitimately thought that it was going to be possible, and something that he created out of fiberglass. Something like next to creating like a science experiment for school, like middle school science experiment where you have to, or like whatever, where they're like, create a boat that won't sink. And you really think that your boat out of tape is going to like survive compared to everybody else's. Whatever. It was such an interesting documentary. Very, very interesting to see the perspectives of other people involved in his business. Really interesting to see some of the other conversations and avenues that was involved in that business structure itself, and how many times he was warned, or the people around him that really tried to kind of like open his eyes to like, this dude's low-key living in a fantasy. Stockton Rush, is he a visionary or is he visionless, guys? What is going on? Clearly, the submersible did not work because at I don't know exactly the feat, but it imploded on itself, right? So let me go over a little bit of this. Okay. I do want to get into how deep it got, but it doesn't, there's some stuff on here that it doesn't really tell me. Okay. The documentary is really good, and I don't really feel like this. I believe it's like the third documentary now. I don't really believe this third documentary is really necessary. The reason I say that, even though they did interview a lot of different people from the two other previous documentaries, I say that because it's a very simplistic story. It doesn't seem like it is, but it really is. It's a very simplistic story, just kind of like my analogy. There's a really narcissistic, bratty kid who just has a lot of money, who was like, my science experiment is going to be better, but I'm going to do it with fiberglass. The thing that's crazy is, like, in the documentary, they show that they actually use a submersible and they put it under test runs. So they're going down into the ocean to see, what occurs when they're going deeper and deeper and deeper. And for those of you that don't really know a lot about diving or whatever, I don't know if you even do, there's a level of pressure, right, at the deeper that you go. If you've ever dived, you probably experienced that with your ears popping, and the lower that it gets harder to dive, it gets colder, things like that. There's a ton of pressure. Diving like that for years and years and years puts a lot of pressure on your body and your bones. So something that I talked about on my podcast previously. So if you watch my previous podcasts, and you will see some of them, and when we talk about diving, one of the guys I had on my podcast owns a diving company, and they dived, in the Alawai, for example. So they were able to, now obviously the Alawai is not very deep, so super doable. Now, going to the Titanic, like, that just doesn't even, like, in the materials that this guy used, like, this doesn't even sound like a good idea, right? But I think what's worse about this story and the reason this story catches a lot of people and their attention is that that'll draw you in, right? Oh, the chance and opportunity to see the Titanic. That's so cool. But being able having this like crazy idea and then bringing like innocent people to pay to do a trip like this that like was never done before is like kind of wild. So let me put this in the another perspective. So in the documentary, they interviewed one guy who was an influencer. I and anyway, he basically was almost one of the passengers, right? So they're interviewing him a lot. He got emotional in the documentary. And this was really interesting to me because you ever have a bad feeling about something? You're like, I don't think that's a good idea. Always listen to those feelings. That's called your intuition. And it's not always a science, right? But it's something that you should listen to. And if you not aren't in tune with your intuition, which a lot of the times we get so distracted with life, who knows if we are listening to our intuition at times, right? Try your best to connect with things and listen to your intuition. I feel like that's what that guy experienced. And all I can say is this: if you are thinking about doing some sort of new adventure or endeavor that just came out, okay, maybe it's a new roller coaster or maybe it's a new submersible that came out, and do some research. Like, was this the first time the submersible went to the fucking Titanic? Did it ever go to the Titanic before? How deep did the submersible ever go before? Was it successful? Things like that. I think with a little bit of research before you do things, it's really sad, but this tragedy unfortunately could have been prevented, and it really should have. And it's sad that there are people in the community, the submersible community, that just really couldn't stop this guy, kind of, right? So, I'm not sure what this whole aftermath would be, but after only about 1 hour and 45 minutes down and descending towards the Titanic, which was the final 2023 dive that the Oceangate was doing, it, they lost communication and they found the debris of Oceangate about 1,600 feet from the Titanic, confirming the sub's catastrophic implosion. Instantaneous loss of 5 people on board, including the CEO. Just something like that. The pressure that deep in the water with those materials, you will be in heaven at the pearly gates before the blink of an eye, basically. So tragic in one way, kind of a cool way to go. I don't know about you, but if I was like 89 and I could see the Titanic real quick and then I imploded, I'd be cool with that. But this shouldn't have happened. It's really insane that this even happened. I mean, the whole exploration itself is a little unsettling. Um, Super toxic environment, obviously, that this guy was creating in this business. I don't know. I'm so wondering what other legalities are going to come out of this. Yeah, the two guys. So, former staff Marine opera- operations director David Lockridge and the engineer Tony Neeson, they voiced deep concerns about the safety of the Titan. Some were fired after raising those alarms and concerns, often accused of impeding Russia's goals. Wow. So I guess the submersible itself is called Titan, but the business was called Oceangate, I guess, if I'm correct. Overconfident guy, stubborn. I love, and it's so tough when I think about this because I always admire somebody's ambition and somebody's want to create and somebody's drive to create and to think out of the box and things like that. But like at the end of the day, pressure is pressure and scientific numbers are everything. And if something can't withstand certain pressures, I mean, they did test runs and you could literally hear the popping sounds, and it was just like eerie. Like, you don't want to be in there. Can you imagine what those people were listening to, what they were hearing before boom? Like, it happened. That's exactly how it happened. Like, it probably just started crackling more and then boom, I'm guessing. But yikes. The documentary was okay. The interviews were okay too. All it really does is kind of gather more evidence around how toxic and narcissistic the CEO was. So that's kind of why I'm telling people that I don't really know that this documentary was as necessary, because it just feels like a repeat of the other documentaries that already exist. And I'm not trying to be critical of the documentary itself, because, like I said, they do interview a lot of new people that were not interviewed at all in the two previous documentaries. The two previous documentaries are kind of just talking about it in general and in a lot more generalization, things like that. But so I guess this one, if you do like to see interviews like that of people that were like hired by him or people that were almost passengers, you will enjoy that part. Um, I do give you guys extreme caution about this documentary if you are going to watch it, because it is sad. Sorry that I'm bringing up this really sad topic. Sometimes I do have to talk about some stuff that is tragic or sad. And the thing that I want to bring out of it, and the thing that I want to bring light to, is to just prevent things that are catastrophic as much as possible. And obviously, we gravitate to industry leaders and people that are the experts in fields, right? Before we're going to try something or do something, we want to trust those people. But it's also really sad when you have somebody that maybe is cutting corners, but then is also acting like they are the industry expert. When in reality, Stockton Rush is really just a guy with a ton of money and a huge ego that he did have a lot of industry experts around him, and then he just wasn't taking any of their advice. So I'm also going to give you guys a little bit of business advice. If you are in some sort of business, make sure that you are crossing your T's and dotting your I's. So if there are people that know how to do it better, get all of their advice, because you do not want to run into situations like this that are catastrophic. That, if somebody came to you and was like, do not do this, this is not safe. I mean, one person couldn't talk this guy out of that. And that's really sad. I think the saddest part about it is the son and the husband of one of the ladies who now, that's sad. She lost her son and now she's widowed. And apparently she was supposed to be on the trip. So I don't know about women's intuition, but I find that very interesting. And I would love them to interview her. I think that would be very interesting. So anyway, if you guys are interested in anything water or diving or Titanic, you will be interested in that. I am also going to be watching Chief of War, that premieres on Apple TV August 1st, is with Jason Momoa, and is all about the Kingdom of Hawaii and all of that with King Kamehameha. You guys may have seen some of the commercials because now they're finally out. I'm going to be watching that series, and every time there's an episode, I believe I'll probably do a video on it. I'm not sure if that's something you guys are interested in, but I'm interested in it, and I'm very interested to kind of talk about this because it's been very controversial, just like this whole situation with the submersible has been controversial. And yeah, I like to just kind of tell you guys a little bit about what's going on in the world too. So this show I'm super interested in, and I'm going to be covering that as well. So hopefully you guys like that. This whole Diddy thing is getting nuts, so just wait on that. And yeah, I might do a little overview of my trip in another video, but Dahlia and I were able to do a podcast while I was in Los Angeles, and I think it's really good. I'm going to have her review it one more time before I go ahead and air it. So I'd really love for when that one drops too, you guys check that one out. Thank you so much, Dahlia, for being on. You can see us next month in Los Angeles. We are going to be hosting an event together July 26th. It is open decks. All females are free, 21 and up with ID. You guys got to come out. I will post the flyer soon on my Instagram so you guys will see it. I also have a giveaway coming up, probably a couple giveaways coming up, but I will be having a giveaway coming up for the concert that's at Waikai. So if you guys want to be involved in that, you want to win free tickets to come to the concert. It is the Birthday Bash concert at Waikai. I have 2 general admission tickets for Friday that I'm going to be giving out to somebody. And it's just my little thank you because Hawaii people have always been so supportive of the podcast and everything that I've been doing. And to get excited about my podcast party that's coming up August 15th. So if you guys want to come to that as well, get on the guest list. Every time you react to any one of my stories, you will get an opportunity to add yourself to the guest list. You can also bring friends. It gives me a good idea of how many people are coming and how many prizes to have. So please, if you sign up, you can use a fake name. That's okay. But I would appreciate it if you use like a real email or phone number at least, so that when I send all the invite details, I can actually send it to you and you will get that. I just don't want you to miss out. But I do understand if you want to, keep some information private. None of your information will be given or sold or anything like that when you sign up for anything that has to do with my podcast. Just know that I will keep everything confidential. And if you guys want to come on my podcast, let me know. If you have a business in Hawaii or know anybody that's very interesting, let me know. And if you guys want to do content collabs, hit me up as well. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching Lucy's Paradise Podcast. Aloha.